welcome everyone to Cyber Talk with Nikolay Part 2, Leadership and Humility with Spencer Mott. No, that's very nice. Thank you, Spencer. One interesting thing or observation from working with you and reflecting back where we've been. Um, One thing that you were able, as a leader of organization, information security at Amgen, when you came in, you did some interesting things with a team. So, and at that time, I was looking at you and sound very interested in what you're doing, and I was observing and watching how you made a team. And it's some organizations, sometimes it's even difficult to have two people talking together, but in some way, you were able, either through your charisma or through some other traits, bring the team together and make it function just like you mentioned. So it's not at the C level, it's everyone who below you respects you and trusts you and follows you where they need to go and where you lead them. So what is your secret, or what helped you to build an organized team the way you did it?
Well, Nikolay, I like to have fun, right? And
No, I don't know
this.
that.
Yeah, you'll know this story, right? Because I came to Amgen from Electronic Arts, and I think as I pulled the team together at Amgen, I was never able to use again the term that I used at EA to keep a sense of proportion about the team's work. I used to say at EA, look, guys and girls, we come together. We're not saving lives. This is cybersecurity for a gaming company. I come to Amgen, and Amgen's curing cancer and cardiovascular disease. So the work that we did with protecting, for example, clinical trial data was life-saving or protecting lives and preserving health. So I couldn't use that one anymore. But the point of telling that story is I find it extremely rewarding to be surrounded by smart people that have energy and that bring what they can do to the table to make kind of cohesive team, where not everyone needs to be an expert in each other's areas, but when you put the pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle, it's just a beautiful thing. And I think for me, I'm not driven by ambition. My success, if you call it that, I mean, I've been fortunate, but my success has been, I think, because I found the right chemistry on teams. I enjoyed my work. I tried to improve, and I hopefully create good experiences for other people. And some of those experiences were, bringing them up in their career, and some of them, went past me, which was probably the most satisfying thing to see. Right, went on to have great careers in very senior positions. So I guess if there was one word in all that, what I just said is authenticity. Is be yourself, and work hard, play hard, be fair with the team, set a high standard, but don't make it unreasonably high that is not achievable. And then also look to create new experiences and challenges for people to get them maybe a little bit outside of their comfort zone, as I've had to do over the years. I think my mantra's always been, the role of the leader is to find the magic inside someone, right? I think everyone has it. And I think that we have a lot of introverts in cyber. And I think you especially have to help introverts reach their full potential, if they want to, of course, right? It's not necessarily necessary for everyone to have this great ambition, but it's also not the right thing if someone has this ability but hasn't been able to express it, or hasn't been given a pathway to demonstrate what they can do. And sometimes that's a pull-in mechanism by the manager. So that's all part of the authenticity, being yourself, and some of that's hardwired in the leader, and some of it you kind of learn through experience. But it hasn't all been perfect, Nikolay. But if you can kind of learn from your mistakes as well, and as you go through the years, hopefully improve and be even better leader.
Yeah, definitely nothing is perfect. So I think the only thing perfect that everyone who does nothing, so everything works out perfectly.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Trying to achieve and did what you did, it's quite amazing. And one thing that I still remember, and for the audience, Spencer and I, we shared one wall. So our offices were next to each other, and we were in a building that sort of in a basement. And Spencer called this place London Underground. So his office called Baker Street. Very fitting, right? So one thing in your office on the Baker Street was little Scrabble, and I was looking at it and said humility. And I was thinking, it's like most leaders that I've seen, you walk into office and they have their things, all achievements that they had, all awards, and there's inspirational messages of perseverance, climbing up the mountains, achievements, pulling something else. But you were the first one that I saw this little word from Scrabble and says humility, and it piqued my curiosity. It's like that's interesting. It's like seems like two different traits where you have all those high-powered leaders trying to move the mountains, and here someone cares about humility. So how would you tell the audience how this humility plays into qualities of leaders? And I think you touched upon it, authenticity and other things. So there's a lot of things that I think makes a lot of sense why you had this word in your office.
Yeah, that's a great story. I'd forgotten some of those things you just said, but it brought back memories. And you'll recall, right? We used to have a really cool office on the perimeter of the campus, and then got moved to like a nuclear bunker in an outbuilding, more close to the center, etc. And we were using all the kind of discarded furniture and everything to build out an environment. And I just mentioned that because you don't need all the fancy furniture and everything to make a really cool environment. So we got creative with, kind of branding, and we picked a kind of London theme, only because I'm British and, people like to tease the British, so I'm fine about that. So we used to have some laughs there. But yeah, humility. So I'll be very transparent and honest here, and I think maybe other CISOs have got the same situation. I mean, I think I had the potential to do other leadership roles in an organization, so my general management skills helped carry me through and provided, degree of success for my CISO or CSO assignments. But I think CISOs or CSOs get typically swim laned or pigeonholed around that. Not necessarily for bad reasons. I just think it's such an important role, and it's kind of niche role, and they're valuable roles to kind of for an organization to say, oh, we're going to move you in a chief operating officer role and backfill you. That's a really bold step if you've got someone you rely on and someone that's got the history and the knowledge. So I get that. Also, I would say that there's a reason, again, that maybe I haven't gone higher in my career than heading this particular vertical, and that is that I'm potentially more comfortable with the teams that I have led and have learned as much, if not more, from my horizontal peer group and my subordinates than I have from leaders above me. Now, there are exceptions. I mean, you'll remember at Amgen, we had Diana McKenzie as our CIO, and just an extraordinary leader, and someone that I still kind of admire in terms of where her career went. So that was what an advantage to have a leader like that. Someone you can learn with, someone that's got your back, and someone that believes passionately about the work that you do and the importance for the organization, but also for society. I can count on my hand the amount of times that I've seen that kind of leadership. Now, that's not only as someone I report to, but that kind of leader in the organizations that I've worked in. So what I would say is I've got a lot of my energy in my peer group and my subordinates, and that's really on the basis of humility. I mean, what I did learn actually from a CFO once about leadership, and especially when you go into the new role, what he told me is it's very important to use the 3 L's, which is listen, learn, and lead, and that's kind of stuck with me since I got told that in probably 12 years or so ago. Is continually spend time as a first phase to listen, right? What are people's pain points? What are they seeing? What do they know? How do they think you can be successful? What can you do for them? Which is also really important, right? There's a lot of kind of human dynamics in this. You want to make other people successful, and that tends to pay back. So that's listen. Learn is apply that knowledge and what you heard to formulating a strategy for you to be successful, and only then apply leadership. Now, of course, there may be times when you need to make a leadership decision sooner, but as a rule of thumb, listen, learn, and lead is a really good way to think about how you can be successful. And it's kind of cyclical. You continually listen, you apply new learnings, and then you take the leadership position. Now, some people might get frustrated and say, "Oh, you're not making decisions quick enough." And I think there's always a yin and yang between the amount of data that you need to make the right decision. But I've always erred on the side of getting a lot of inputs before you make a decision, which is ultimately a demonstration of leadership. But again, in a way that demonstrates humility and also a willingness to change if you have to change. Right? You can't always be right. Hopefully that helped.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Spencer. Yeah, that was a great answer. And I've heard from you before about this and learn. That's definitely a great concept. And a lot of organizations should, leaders follow this concept because it does help to understand and before come with a big sledgehammer and knock down the walls and try to create new structure or new way team's supposed to operate. So one thing that as we come in close to our hour here, on my shows we tell jokes. So, well, actually not jokes, but fun stories. Well, if you don't have fun stories, then we tell jokes. And I know you have plenty of stories from your life in EA. Things were happening, and do you mind sharing one that most stuck to your memory? And I know you shared some at Amgen, and it was interesting story about time and space and how people operate in certain spaces and what they see sometimes in the future, but it's already happened and they don't realize it. So I think that was a great story what you told us.
Oh, I'll tell that one then.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's tell that one.
time zone differences.
Yeah. And it's not to at all tease the individual concerned, because we all had a laugh about it afterwards. And but yes, we had so I'm going back, now early 2000s, when there was a convergence between physical security and information security, and we set up a control room at the company where I was working for to take the feeds from the CCTV cameras at all our warehouses, where we were literally storing hundreds of million dollars worth of goods, to a central console where the events would be recorded, and we could, if we saw something, call out the police if there was a break-in or something like that. So we had one of our security guards there. He was on night duty, and the warehouse was in the Netherlands, and the control room was in London. So there was an hour time difference. So what actually happened is we did have a break-in the warehouse. The security officer sees the break-in and sees the criminals break through a skylight window, abseil down like Mission Impossible, and start stealing goods. They opened the goods in door and start loading up a track. And to the security officer's credit, he took meticulous notes, made sure the event was being recorded on video, did everything right, and then at some point called the authorities. By which time the perpetrators had left. So the following day, when we do the kind of post-event analysis, we sat down and we thought, wow, you saw this team break in. How come the cops that were only stationed about 10 minutes away, how come they turned up so late and didn't get the burglars? And he said, well, I wanted to do everything right. And the time of the break-in was clearly shown on the clock in Amsterdam as 1 a.m. And it was only midnight here. So I had an hour really to prepare the evidence and make sure that when the police turned up, they had a full description and everything. So this guy actually thought that what was happening was kind of in the future, and he was going to play catch up in the hour and could present a really strong case. Now, I've told that story a number of times, and everyone's, that could not possibly happen. No one could think that. That can't be true. But I swear that is the absolute truth. And we kind of looked at each other, and honestly, it was just, yeah, we lost some computer games, but what a great learning experience for that individual, and something that I'm still telling 20 odd years later on as a kind of funny anecdote of what happened at the time. So I think the moral of the story is never assume that people have a full understanding of the facts and the way that things need to operate, and make sure they know how to use the equipment. But I doubt that individual ever made that mistake again, and we definitely don't live in some time shifting environment. But yeah, bless him, it worked out all right.
Yeah, that definitely fun story. First time you told us, and it was like, yeah. But hey, you got a great notes. Everything was in detail, so he had time to document every single
Exactly. Yeah, that's the
was
upside.
taken and provided to police. So at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
something was successful.
yeah,
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Thank you, Spencer, for your time with us today and providing all those stories and telling us about leadership. And I think before we part, if you don't mind, just summarize some of the great traits and let the audience know what they need to focus on and once they break into career. And that would be a great way to end
yeah,
this
yeah.
episode.
Of course, of course. Number one, be philanthropic, right? Give back, especially as you get later in your career. But you can do it from early on. There's always going to, after your first week in the industry or in cybersecurity, there's going to be someone that's going to need your guidance and advice, and you will find it will feed and enrich the soul if you do that. Give back to people that want to join the career, give back to the communities within the locale of the business where you're working. Give back to the industry, write papers, all that, speak at conferences. It's all super important and will help you enjoy the profession a little bit more. Wrap yourself, wrap people around you that you want to work with, that you like to work with, and that can be the best at what they do. They might not be anywhere near their full potential, but have the eyes that see the potential in somebody. So it could be someone coming from a completely different field, which is what I've often done. And then, as I say, it's a lot easier to train someone up in cybersecurity than it is to embed good, kind of people skills and good team skills. And then, thirdly, have fun. It's a tough gig. Enjoy it. Put it in perspective. Do your best. Take lots of notes. Write things down electronically or physically because the power of record keeping is very important in this job. And be organized and be very considerate of the people that make you the person that you are. So this business can have an impact on your friends and family. There's a term workaholic. Is keep that balance right. Be appreciative of the people around you and create time to invest in them as much as you do in the company. The company will replace you in a heartbeat. The things outside of work are the things that you should value the most. And Nikolay, before I sign off, I just want to say, I hope one day we get to work together once more and not just do podcasts like this. And I really value your friendship and the time that we had working together. And it was a great partnership. And wish you and I Squared all success.
Yeah, definitely. It came out of totally unrelated places. So one from Belarus, one from Britain.
I know. Who'd
But
have
we
thought,
made
eh?
good friends and we still continue to
Yeah,
be friends. Yeah, definitely
yeah,
appreciate it and admire everything that you've done, Spencer. So
yeah.
definitely
Back
thank
at you.
you.
All right. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
And yeah, thanks for the audience for staying with us. And I hope you learned a lot of valuable lessons today from the leadership and humility with Spencer Mann.
Thanks for joining us. For more information about these topics or IS Squared, please go to www.issquaredinc.com.
And remember, we're stronger together.